The idea is to make the startup living and growing, and if this work at the same time, the impact that you will have in the environment on in other people will grow with the startups.
Matteo Boffa, thank you for joining me on 20 Minute Leaders. How are you today?
Hi, Michael. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very, very good. What about
I-
you?
I'm very, I'm fantastic. Thank you. So you're talking from Dubai right now, right?
Yes, yes. I'm right now in Dubai Marina. Yes, where
Wonderful.
it's a bit unusual to see people in Dubai with this kind of clothes, but it's getting quite cold.
Well, amazing. Well, the last time that we actually met was in the Dubai Marina. We had a great coffee there, and I got to learn all about your incredible adventures within the sustainability space and with startups. But your history goes back actually to Switzerland, right? You're from Switzerland. You were in the financial sector. You also served in the army there, and then you made your way to Dubai, and now you're working with startups on sustainability and environment. So, Matteo, tell me a little bit about your life and a little bit of what led you to this realization that what you're truly passionate about is working on sustainable on companies that are working on sustainability.
Yes, for sure. In Switzerland, we are kind of famous for chocolate, knives, and cheese, and cows, and banks. So my family, they are bankers since almost 100 years in Switzerland, and my future was destined to be in the same field of finance and banking. I started working at the age of 15 years old. In Switzerland, is something quite normal because it's an apprenticeship system where you have a third of work, a third of school, and a third of a bank academy. So I had these 3 years as an apprenticeship in this bank in Lugano, and after I got employed by the same bank, and I worked for the bank for 10 years. In the meantime, I did a course, a marketing master, during the weekend and during the weekends. And yeah, because that was my passion, but of course, working 100%, I didn't really had the time to go to a new full university. After that, I did 2 years in the Swiss Army. This helped me a lot to learn about leadership and command, and how dynamics in the real work function, same as in the bank. And after, I was happy. I was in a very safe environment and a safe job, a good salary, but I was not really satisfied about what I was doing, what I was making for myself and for other people around the world. So I decided to go abroad to New York because I didn't had any English background. So I studied in New York, and after that I decided to move to Dubai as it was shown as a land of opportunity. I opened my first company that was recycling plastic material. I partially sold my company, and now my job is to reinvest part of my private capital into startups that are having a social and environmental impact. And at the same time, I was able to be part of the Swiss Chamber of Commerce, and I became now the president of the Swiss Business Council Abu Dhabi. Um, yeah, the Swiss Business Council Abu Dhabi.
I love it. So you know what? Even before we get to recycling and the environmental sustainability and all of that stuff, talk to me a little bit about the Swiss, the work that you're doing, connecting Switzerland and the United Arab Emirates through the Swiss Council. So what are you actually doing there? Why do you spend so much time with that?
Yeah, this is a non-profit organization. It's non-supported by the Swiss government. We live thanks to our members that can be social members, so individual or small, medium, or large companies.
Hmm.
What we do basically, we connect the Swiss community from Switzerland to come into the UAE to open businesses, or UAE companies or individual to go to Switzerland. So we are kind of a connecting dots between these two countries.
So tell me a little bit about what are you doing particularly with the members? What is their involvement? What do you expect from them? What do they gain out of it? How does this whole thing work?
Yeah, so becoming member, it's quite easy. The only requirement is to have a Swiss link, so Swiss national or Swiss-based company. And what we do,
Mm-hmm.
we help, for example, Swiss technology to approach the UAE market and opening branches of their businesses. We have three major pillars in the Swiss Council. One is the environmental group, one is the financial group, and the other one is the health group. Recently, it's very interesting that we opened the agritech group, everything related to vertical farming or smart farming.
Okay, I see. So now going back a little bit to this environmental and sustainability, what tell me first of all a bit more about the company that you started. What led you to even go that route?
Yeah, as I said, as a banker, I was partially happy, but I wanted to let a positive footprint impact for the
Right.
next generation. I realized that the UAE is an amazing country, full of opportunity, but there was a gap in the system in where it comes to recycling and sustainability. So it was a fertile and virgin field where entering was quite easy, and where the number of people involved is not too many. You know, it's an undiscovered was an undiscovered field,
Right.
and I think was
Right.
the perfect move.
And so you discover that there's this whole gap in the market. There's a great alignment with your own personal interest, with the impact that you can make on others, and you partially sell this company of yours, and you're taking part of the proceeds to now go and invest in other sustainability companies. Give me a little bit of taste as to what types of companies you're involved with, and why you're involved specifically with them.
So yeah, the first one was basically taking big advertising posters, the billboards that you can easily see around Sheikh Zayed Road. This is a PVC material that is very thick, and after the marketing and advertising campaign is supposed to be destroyed because you cannot reuse it. So
Right.
my company used to take down this advertising, cut it, clean it, and create unique objects. So basically, we'll have a backpack that is the unique backpack in the world to represent a small part of this huge billboard. This had a very interesting traction because it's a B2B concept. So we didn't sell through the final consumer, but directly to the company that were advertising, like Porsche, Nespresso, Mercedes, Apple, etc. So what this company did, they bought through us, and they were reselling these goods or giving them away as a gift to show that their marketing campaign was not ending under the sand, under the sea, or burned, but was just continuing traveling around the world.
Very, very cool.
So
And tell
this
me a little bit about the flip floppy, because that one particularly caught my eye.
Yeah, I'm helping the FlipFloppy project in spreading the awareness in Kenya. So the FlipFloppy project built the first boat completely built by plastic trash recovered from the ocean and from the landfill. And it's called the FlipFloppy because the external side it's all covered in old flip-flop recovered as from the beaches. And
Incredible.
this is a very interesting non-profit organization, as well supported by United Nations, and we were able to sail the boat from Kenya to Zanzibar, and now my role is to try to find other investor and other partners.
So talk to me a little bit about the life cycle of a company that is primarily, thinking about the environment and sustainability, because obviously that's a very different model than a traditional startup where your matrix or perhaps, your ARR and how much, the margins that you're able to take and how many customers you're able to acquire. Here, there's actually different KPIs, right, that you would want to measure in a sustainability company. So what are some of those KPIs, and how do you actually go about quantifying a success in that regard?
Yeah, we have to consider that in the past, sustainability or sustainable product were considered cheap things and things that were not profitable at all. Now, luckily, the people and the world, there is awareness about it, and you can actually make money out of doing something great for the people and for the environment. So, of course, the most important thing is to measure the impact that any of these startups is doing. And of course, seeing the sustainability not only for the environment, but the financial sustainability, the team sustainability, and everything that builds the startup has to be in a perfect balance. In terms of return of investment from myself as an investor, I'm not looking for a short vision. I want to build a team. I want to create a company that has a long-term vision for everybody, and can as well survive in the time during the time.
Right, but from from my perspective, I'm saying the regular startup scene, that you have very key matrix that you're able to compare one startup to another, right? A lot of them are the customer acquisition, your cost of acquisition for customers, your annual revenue, your margins, etc. I'm imagining that in the space that you're in, where every startup has a different mission, that to help in the world in some regard, you can't really compare. It's like comparing oranges to apples, right? So how do you actually go about talking to a team and evaluating whether what they're doing actually makes an impact given the investment they're spending? And obviously, that's putting aside the financial returns that you would expect as an investor.
Yeah, it's something relative new, as I said. So there is not really a secret behind, like in any startup. Me as an angel investor, I have my first gut feeling and see what is the idea behind, but as well what is the team. In the past, I had many investments that didn't went well because the idea was good and the financial side was good, but the team was not good, or many other components. So it's difficult to create a pattern and say this is the 5, 10, 20 points that will make a startup succeed.
Right.
The environment change we see now with this pandemic situation, you cannot really create a string that determines the success of any startups.
Right, but is the success a factor of taking a sum of money, spending it, and seeing how much you're helping the world? I mean, are those things in the discussion as from your experience with these teams? Do they think, okay, how can we spend X money to make a Y impact on the world, and that's really the value proposition of that startup, or does it act like a regular startup trying to acquire customers and get revenue?
The idea is to make the startup living and growing, and if this work at the same time, the impact that you will have in the environment on in other people will grow with the startups. Doesn't really make sense to put money in something to have a short-term vision and collecting plastic left and right, and at the end of 1 year, 2 years, the startup failed because it's not financially sustainable. So it's
Right.
investing in a group, on a team, in an idea that will grow organically through the success, and at the same time building the corporate social responsibility aspect.
Right, because one of the things that I've been observing from the sidelines is that, to make a real impact, you need to grow at scale, right? And you need to have all the incentives aligned with among all the different
Yep.
stakeholders. And it's not
Yep.
enough to create a nonprofit, get some funding from, philanthropists, and then have that, very narrow impact through that money. But if you're actually able to provide a sustainable business with a coherent revenue model that is can sustain and grow itself, and you're socially aware and you're doing something good for the world, that's really where the impact is. Because I'm sure that if one of your
Yep.
companies then becomes to be a unicorn, while its core mission is still to make the world a better place, whether it's through recycling, social awareness, whatever, then that's a really big deal, right, Matteo?
Yes. No, that's correct, and I can give you a very good example on that.
Please.
One of my startups, it's called Teli, and what we do, we produce the first vegan shoes entirely made with plastic
Mm.
waste. So we were able, through our two round of investment, to make 100,000 shoes in the first bench. What we decided is, let's start with a concept of 1,500 shoes. Let's see how it goes. Let's improve the concept. Let's see what is the reaction, what is the impact, and how we can keep the money that we saved aside to improve the production system, the chain that we have at the moment. So it's not just collecting money and spend all of them. I'm more into the concept of testing the market, testing the idea, testing the team, and evolved all together.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. And more broadly, where are we headed? Do we see an increase of companies that are working on sustainability? Is there a decrease? How is the market responding to this?
For sure, the number of companies is increasing by day, by hours. As I said, in the past, you were thinking sustainability and green action as a goodwill to make a small change. Now, investor, obviously bigger than me, they realize that you can actually make money out of a good action and a good product. So that was a very gray area that now it's more clear, and all the research and all the studies make our life easier. And also the
Right.
consumer itself, it's reacting very positively. And in the past, if you were buying let's use again the shoes, that were the shoes on the market, and you will really know who was making it. But if it was a kid of 5 years old stitching your shoes, or a grown adult with a proper infrastructure where to work, you will never know. Now, technology, social media, journals, TV can really help the small company that really make an impact, and the consumer now buy this kind of product because they want to really see what is behind.
Right. One of the things that I've actually been observing as well is that a lot of VCs, traditional VCs that previously weren't specifically investing in these types of markets, because you don't really, because I guess the reason is that it's much harder to see that hockey stick growth, right? That exponential growth in a company that has a core value, which is sustainability, or helping the world in one way or another. But a lot of these venture capital funds now have a whole segment for impact investing. It's a term that I've been hearing a lot, this idea to invest in companies that have a core value or a core mission to make an impact. And so I can definitely see why this is a growing trend, and obviously what we've been seeing in the past few years, not just in the environment, but socially and with the world on itself. I think that there's a lot of things that we need sustainability to improve upon. But Matteo, talk to me a
Yes.
little bit about your advice for young entrepreneurs that are starting their journey, that might be interested in going into the sustainability space. You've made a radical transition in your life to go towards sustainability, and what would you say to some young entrepreneurs that might not even be thinking about this as a potential?
Yeah, I have to say I have to consider myself very lucky, because I'm coming from a good country. I'm living now in the UAE. That is a very good country as well. I had some financial that I was able to save during my past in the bank. It's not easy. I was privileged, and that's the reason why I'm trying to help young entrepreneur with the small steps financially, just to
Right.
reach from the idea to a prototype, or from the idea to a first step, or as well to connect already developed startups to bigger investors than me. The resilience, it's something that it's very important nowadays. Means being able to adapt to any type of circumstances and situation. Now again, with this pandemic, we saw many company fail, but as well many new opportunity rising. So always keep the eyes open, make a lot of research. My big suggestion for young entrepreneur is to learn and study about what they really want to achieve, not because they wake up and they have an idea and they think is the best idea in the world. Make some research before about the market, about if it's something that already exists, and after start the conversation.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And when you choose investors to join you on this journey, I'm assuming that right now you still have to choose carefully people that are going to be supportive of your long-term vision, right? And not the short-term success. That's something that you repeated quite a few times. Why is that important, focusing on the long-term vision with these types of companies rather than short-term success?
Yeah, the word is changed. I think short-term profit will disappear very soon. In the past, as was different technology, different approach. The market was smaller all around the world. So believing in something that you can build in a long term will always be the success, and you can as well implement your strategy based on a long term and not in a short term. So I think this has to be the way of thinking for the future generation.
I completely agree. Matteo, thank you so much for taking the time to join me in this episode. It was really, really wonderful.
Thank
I
you,
loved
Michael.
meeting you back in Dubai, and personally inspired by your passion for sustainability and transitioning your life to put that at the forefront. Obviously, it's not, at least in still in 2021, it's not the most economically viable thing to do. There's a lot of other things that are much sexier with a hockey stick growth, but this is definitely something that is literally making the world a better place. And so I'm imagining that you sleep better at night than most people. But Matteo, thank you for coming. And before we leave, I have to ask you for the most important question, which is 3 words that you would use to describe yourself.
Yeah, I would say resilience, creativity, and yeah, never give up. It's not really a word, but this shows me that even if you fail, just not put your hands in your pocket, but try to rise and learn from your mistake. That's the most important thing. Everybody will make mistake. Everybody will fail multiple times. I as well. I fail many times, but just rise as a phoenix and try to do your best every day.
I love that. And I'll just add to that the motto that you sent me earlier, which is don't spend to destroy, invest to create. Which
Yes.
I completely love that. Matteo, thank you very, very much, and stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you, Michael. Very appreciate, and I hope to see you very soon.
Thank you.